Hey Peak Radar fans, we are live tonight with the cast of Puerto Rican Nocturne, which is a groundbreaking new production that opens on March 13th. You'll find all the show details as always on peakradar.com and a link on the caption of this video. And of course, the ticket link, because you are going to want to be in the audience for this show. We're here again with the cast, with the artistic director of Theater to Art, Jonathan Endahar, and with A.B. Lugo, who's the director. A.B., tell us real quickly, what we'll experience at Puerto Rican Nocturne on March 13th to the 29th?
All right, people who come to Puerto Rican Nocturne, they're going to experience an amazing drama that's based on true events that happened in the 1970s and 1980s in Puerto Rico. You will also, the way I'm setting it up, for those who may not even know much about the history, you're going to learn about it the moment you walk into the door. You're going to see, they're going to have like flat screens with information about what's happening before the show. And then so by the time you get in there, you're going to be immersed. It's going to be a fully immersive experience, and I think you're going to like it. You need not be Puerto Rican to like it or get it. You're going to just have to be human.
That's right, and come ready to be challenged. Come ready for some really hard-hitting theater that takes you into a story maybe you didn't know about. And the play is written by Jonathan Marcantoni, who's our neighbor right here in Colorado Springs. Jonathan, why is Theater to Art producing this play?
Theater to Art is producing this play because it really speaks to serve an underserved community in Colorado Springs, the Latina community. And I really wanted to be able to tell a Puerto Rican story that does not include Puerto Rican stereotypes, that tells the story as authentic as it can be, and with the themes of misguided patriotism with Gonzo's character and grief with Adria's character. It really is a story for everyone.
Universal story.
It's a very universal story, and it just so happens to be set in Puerto Rico with Puerto Rican actors and cast of
people of color.
All
people of
Absolutely.
color.
That's right, so 100% of the cast are people of color from right here on the Front Range. As I mentioned, it's written by Jonathan Marcantoni, and we invite all of you to come. I mean, Peak Radar has an incredible theater fan base that follows the theater community here in Colorado Springs. We're looking at you, and this is a moment you don't want to miss. March 13th to the 29th, here in the downtown Colorado Springs Creative District. You'll find the play at the All Souls
Unitarian Universalist. No, it's UU. So yeah, All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church, 730 North Tejon Street on the corner of East Dale, right in the heart of downtown.
That's right. Let's talk a little bit with the cast, because you guys are invited into bringing to life this script for the first time. What has it been like for you all to work together and to be part of the production?
Well, I always love at the beginning of some of our rehearsals, Angelo, he's an actor in the show. He always leads a warm-up, and then at the end it's like, we're in the Caribbean. Feel the heat of the sun. Hear the ocean breeze. And it's just kind of that feeling. Yeah, exactly. It's so beautiful.
For me, it's been a very connecting experience with the cast, because this is my first production where I can relate to every single cast member with our cultural background, with how we were brought upon, with our social injustices, and how we can all relate to each other in politics, and how it relates all together. I
just love that quote. We can all relate to each other
yes.
in politics.
Yes,
because we feel like the opposite is true.
Yes, exactly.
But actually, there's something about us all coming together in those stories.
Yes, exactly. So it feels very comforting to really discover it with my castmates on stage, what the play is really about, and it feels very amazing to really grow with them and learn more with them and really relate with them. It feels, like home. It feels like I've known them forever, and getting to know them deeper
We've become quite the family here, and that's a beautiful thing. I think that's the great thing about theater. For those of you who are actors or have worked in theater, you develop these family relationships during the run of a show, and that's no different here. And these are people we are going to be hanging out after the show closes.
Yes.
Maybe at certain, Cabo locations, but whatever. We're going to have a good time, and I'm really, really happy with this cast that we have.
Absolutely.
Because they're all so passionate about the project, about as passionate as I am, about as passionate as the playwright is, and that's really refreshing because they will rehearse, they'll run lines out of rehearsals like elsewhere off site just to make sure they get it all right because they want to do the work justice. And I'm really, really excited about this cast and this company, and yes, everybody has to see Puerto Rican Nocturne.
And one of the really beautiful things that has been coming out in the rehearsal process, especially with Gigi's character of Gonzo and Cherish's character of Adria, are when we break down some of these monologues. Gigi gives some crazy monologues about what it's like to be part of the conquerors or part of the United States and why we should be part of the United States. And then we all just kind of have that conversation as we're breaking down the monologue, and we go, oh my gosh, like what is it that's guiding our conversation? Is it our past experiences? Is it our cultural experiences? Cherish's Adria has a monologue where she's talking to her son about the dangers of not speaking to police correctly, and almost just about everybody in the cast can have that moment where a family member has told them, hey, don't make sudden movements, make sure you speak clearly, make sure you stay safe, anything can happen, and the fallout of those interactions. And so there are so many things that everyone says that can easily have been just such a throwaway line if you didn't have that cultural connection to it, but they are so impactful because you can see that the actors are living it and they've actually felt it.
They understand it.
They understand
There's like a shorthand already. So it's like, I didn't have to do much explaining. It's just like, oh, you got it. Okay, let's move on. You know, and it's been great.
You can really feel that it's a passion project when you listen to each of you talk about it, and that authenticity, I think, is something that audiences, no matter what their background is, are really going to connect to. But one of the things I think is amazing is the thoughtfulness you've all put in, not just to representation on stage, but your invitation to the audience by having Spanish super titles in this production. And we were talking, we think this might be the first time in Colorado Springs that there's been a theater production with Spanish super titles. Certainly we hope it begins a new trend. So talk a little bit about what you hope happens in the audience.
I'd like to ping back to what John just said.
Sure.
So our playwright, John Mark Antoni, he's a veteran. He's a U.S. Army veteran, and I'm an Air Force veteran. And that was one of the connections I had with him. He's like, hey, audition for this. You can figure it out. And going through mental health, coming out, trying to figure out what to do, I was actually recommended, hey, try acting. It might be a way to vent some of these feelings you got. And that's actually something these guys haven't been told yet. But it's been really
learning about each other here.
Live.
On the couch. I mean, let's just open up.
Live on Facebook.
But it's really beautiful because one of the things that Gonzo is going through is he has that, he's been sent on a mission, he had an assignment, he did it, and then the fallout changes his entire life. And that's something that I think will really resonate here, especially in the veteran community. I don't want to speak for all veterans, but you go out, you're told, hey, we're doing this for reason X, Y, Z. You come home and you realize, oh, this was the reality of what actually happened. And that struck me really hard. That hit me deep. And coming from, my father was a veteran, he was involved in the military, and saying, hey, why'd you join the service? Was it because of X, Y, Z? And following his footsteps, I was like, wow. This opened up a conversation with my family because I'm Puerto Rican, and this is part of the history that we sweep under the rug. This is part of the things that we forget. And when I started to dig into it, it opened up these conversations with my family. We were just like, this is why we had to leave the island. This is what was actually going on.
Wow.
And it struck a nerve with me. And I hope that people who come and see it will start to dig in more on this and will connect more to their culture, to their heritage, to their past. Because it's still alive, it's still here, it just impacts us.
To jump, I do want to say we have a large number of actors who are either making their Colorado Springs or Colorado stage debuts or their actual stage debut, and Jerry's making his stage debut in this play.
Oh my gosh.
And he's doing an amazing job. You wouldn't know if I didn't tell you. That's how good of a job he's doing. And with regards to the super titles and what do we want for the audience, I love telling the stories of people that don't get told. Those untold stories. And one of our actors who is in here right now, she said, my mother doesn't really speak much English. Now she wants to see this show because of the Spanish super titles. So she's excited. So I love telling those stories that are untold. I love reaching new audiences who don't think they should see or could see theater because they feel excluded by it. I remember you were talking about that earlier.
Let's Cherish. What do you think?
So when I first auditioned for this, I was just I did not have a lot of information about Puerto Rico except for current events as far as natural disasters and what's going on, and my heart kind of went out for them. But as I've become involved in this cast and in this show, I've learned so much history about what's going on currently and the politics surrounding Puerto Rico and why I should care. Why is it important for me? Why is it important for me to stand up for other people who look like me, who have a very similar history to my culture as well? I'm African American, and so looking at some of the things as far as colorism that happens in Puerto Rico, as far as the politics, as far as what's going on in our government, and do the meek really inherit, that type of thing, and looking at that, it's just been very interesting for me to see this piece of history and how totally relevant it is today, and going, oh my gosh, I could put this same, on our posters we're showing these newspaper articles of what happened during the murders of Cerro Maravilla, and we could take that same story and put it on today's Gazette, and I would be like, oh my gosh, I totally could see that's happening today.
Wow.
So it's really amazing to experience this with my entire cast, to share these stories, and to see the ripple effect of one very traumatic incident and how that affects absolutely every single one of us, and why that's important for us to care about today, and why we're supposed to look at Puerto Rico not just as a territory of the United States, that they're absolutely more than that these are our brothers and these are our sisters, and we need to make sure that we're more involved in what's going on that island.
And it tells you mentioned the traumatic events. Your character loses a son, and something that people tend to brush right under the rug is when these traumatic sort of things happen, and they become politicized, that it's happening to a family and it's happening to a unit. And this play really explores those themes of grief and how to process grief. And
it humanizes the tragedy.
And it humanizes the tragedy to the extent that your character is absolutely sick of everyone trying to make the son's death a thing when you just want to live your life. But the rest of the island and the world wants to make it a centerpiece of politics.
A cause célèbre, and I feel like what's amazing is that a lot of people don't realize that Puerto Rico is part of the United States. That you don't need a passport to go to Puerto Rico. That they are also U.S. citizens. They were born that way. They've been that way since 1917, and just that they are, in that regard, they are American citizens. So they are Americans, and the play takes place right after. It starts right after the Vietnam War, and most people don't realize that the largest population of people who served in Vietnam were Puerto Ricans.
Amazing. I'm thinking, as I'm listening to you all talk about how theater that you can really sink your teeth into, it just builds such empathy. Seeing stories that you connect with or can connect with some piece of your life. I loved how you talked about your experience as a veteran and how that connects to so many of our neighbors, whether it's in our own life, and finding those universal truths, but also really respecting those differences and having more sensitivity to each other. I think it's amazing that Theater to Art is bringing this production. Peak Radar is so excited to help to promote it. I hope that you got excited too, just by these few minutes of hearing these voices and seeing the faces of the creatives here in our community who are part of this production. Locally written, locally directed, locally acted with 100% cast of people of color, and who's Puerto Rican? I mean, so many of you are. Quite a few of you are.
Right.
Yeah, and Jonathan who wrote the play. So please come out March 13th to the 29th here in the downtown Colorado Springs Creative District. Again, you'll find all the show details in the caption of this video, and we hope that you will sink your teeth into Puerto Rican Nocturne. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.